Hey everyone, welcome back to another TBR Takedown video. This is episode 3, and I finally make some progress in this series because I didn't purchase any books while filming this. If you are new here, I'm trying to read and prioritize the books I own and haven't read yet, a concept truly, because some of these books have been sitting on my bookshelf for years. I currently have 35 books on my physical TBR, and I would love to get down to 30 in this video. The first book I'm reading for this video is The Defining Decade, Why Your 20s Matter and How to Make the Most of Them. I'm pretty sure this has been on my physical TBR the longest, and that is exactly why I am picking it for this video, because I bought this years ago. I remember when I bought this, I remember where I lived, what job I was working at the time, and at the time this book probably would have helped me a lot. And now I'm at the other end of my 20s, my late 20s. I'm 28 and I already started this book, and guys, I don't know if it's for me. It is a self-help book. I'm sure you've heard of it. It is really popular. It has such great reviews on Goodreads and I've heard nothing but amazing things. And I'm listening to the audiobook on Libby because I do have such a hard time getting into self-help books. Sometimes they really motivate me and other times I'm like, shut up. The same goes for this one. There are things in this book so far that I totally agree with, and then there are other things that I think are already outdated. And I looked when this book was published. It was published in 2013. And I just think the world has even changed so much since then that some of these things sound ridiculous. I don't know. Maybe I'm the problem. You know what? I know I am the problem. Because the whole point of this book is like start now, start early in your 20s. And I do agree with that in a sense, but also what's the rush? Maybe that's just because I live in Europe right now and I'm happy with my life. I'm like, so in this book, we are hearing from Meg J. She's a clinical psychologist and she's sharing a lot of the conversations with her patients over the years and how she helped them get out of this slump in your 20s. And like I said, I do agree with some parts. I agree with her saying you need to get off social media and that comparison is the thief of joy. Like, you do not need to be comparing yourself to what everybody else is doing on Facebook because it's a highlight reel. And nobody even gets on Facebook anymore. I don't use Facebook, but I do get sucked into comparison on TikTok and Instagram. I just feel like the messaging isn't consistent throughout this book so far. In every chapter, it kind of strays away from it. One chapter, she's like, you need to accept any job that comes your way because it could be a great networking experience. Then you can work your way up or work your way to another job. And then the next chapter, she's like, well, why would you accept that job just because the money's good, but it's not going to make you happy? I'm like, what's the message? What should I do? And part of me just wants to DNF it because this isn't going to help me right now. But if I had read this when I bought this years ago, maybe I would have been happier sooner. Other things I liked about this book, the idea that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. But I also just feel like you can find success in other ways. In the year 2025, it doesn't always have to be about your career. And I know that's like a privileged take, of course, but her point of view is coming from a privileged stance. And I do agree that everyone has the same 24 hours in a day and, you know, get up and work, do your job. But I also think that there are other circumstances where some people were not dealt the same cards and so their life was harder. I don't know, I feel like I kind of talked about this when I read The Let Them Theory, but so far I like The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins better than this one. The last thing I do agree with so far is that if you don't know what to do, just start. Just do something. You know, you can't just sit there and worry. You have to do something. You have to get a job, you have to get a hobby, start spending more time with your family. Like, whatever you're doing, just don't let the unknown drown you. It's kind of like the same idea of launch and adjust, which is not something she said in here, but like if you want to start a YouTube channel, start with your phone, start posting. If you're getting more views, adjust and get a different camera, put more time into it, you know, like just start now and fine tune later. I'm going to go do some chores around the house. I'll let you guys know if my thoughts change on this book. Every appliance in the house is currently running, so I'm switching to the microphone on my phone. Hopefully you guys can hear me for this quick update. I'm DNFing The Defining Decade. I can't even pretend that I'm enjoying this. And I know I don't always read books for enjoyment. Sometimes I do read memoirs and self-help books to learn and educate myself. But what I am learning with this book is that I don't like it. I think it's outdated already, which is crazy. I mean, it's not crazy. The way the world is changing these days is insane. And I know there's a lot of research and science in here that you can't argue with, but some of that research is already outdated. But the main thing that makes me mad about this book is that it's assuming everybody has the same goals. and we don't. And I feel like the author is saying one size fits all. I just don't think this book can be applied to everybody, and everybody has different life paths, and therefore I will not be reading this anymore. Cancel me. This is the worst lighting in the world, but I will update you guys on the other book I'm currently reading for this video. The other book I'm reading for this video is The Girls Who Grew Big by Lila Motley. I'm 100 pages into it. It's, I think, around 330. Each chapter has a different point of view, and it is about a group of girls that are outcasts in this small Florida beach town because they all got pregnant when they were younger. And so it's kind of like a coming of age story and what it means to be a young mother and just the journey of motherhood in general. I'm updating you guys now because we have had a change of travel plans and we're about to leave the airport now. So I don't think I'm gonna give you my final thoughts until we are back here in Amsterdam. We're going back to the US for a few days. I'll vlog reading this on the plane because I'm sure I can finish it. I will see you guys in a few days. Hey guys, long time, no update, but on my travels, I did finish The Girls Who Grew Big, and I really enjoyed it. It was so fast paced, and I honestly read it in almost one sitting on the plane, but I had to put it down for the last 6 pages because we were landing and it was bumpy and I was getting sick. But when I woke up the next morning at 4:30 a.m. because my body was confused what time zone I was in, I finished it. It was a beautiful and heartbreaking story about motherhood. I hated seeing our main characters struggle, but it did feel a little more hopeful at the end. And overall, I would recommend this book. I would give it 4 stars. And if you're looking for a literary fiction on what it means to be a woman, then you should pick this up. There was honestly a lot that went down in this book, a lot of drama, friends betraying each other, and I will definitely pick up whatever this author publishes next because I really liked her storytelling. I will let you guys know what book I pick up next. We are really chipping away at this TBR and I think we can do it. We can get down to 30 books left on my TBR before the end of this video. My physical TBR and I actually started reading it in another video I'm filming for Bookmas, the first day of Bookmas, so get excited. I'll be up on December 1st. I went with In the Weeds by B.K. Borison because this has actually been on my physical TBR for a while. I know I purchased this when I still lived in Georgia, and I figured this would be just a fun romance since I just finished another book that caused me so much pain. I know this is technically the second book in an interconnected standalone series. The first one is Love Light Farms. I don't know why I even bought this. To be honest, that seems like something I wouldn't do, but you don't need to read the books in order or read the other books at all. That's the beauty of an interconnected standalone series. I thought it was a fall romance based on the cover, but now that I'm in it, I think it's more of a spring read. But I don't care, you can read romance any time of the year. I'm only 60 pages into it, and I gotta say, like, it doesn't have my attention yet. Let me read you the summary of this book. Evelyn St. James isn't the kind of woman you forget. Beckett Porter certainly hasn't. One incredible weekend in Maine, and he's officially a man distracted. He's not unfamiliar with hot and heavy flings, but Evie wove some sort of magic over him during their tumble in the sheets. Goodness, it is 9 a.m. He can't stop thinking about her laugh, her hand pressed flat against his chest, her smiling mouth at his neck. So when she suddenly appears on his farm as a part of a social media contest, he is confused. He had no idea that the sweet and sexy woman he met at a bar is actually a global phenomenon. When Evie disappears again, Beckett resolves to finally move on. But Evie, who has been feeling disconnected from her work and increasingly dissatisfied with life online, is trying to find her way back to something real. She returns to the last place she was happy, Lovelight Farms in the tiny town of Inglewild, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the hot farmer she spent 2 unforgettable nights with. We will see what happens, and I'll update you guys if I start enjoying this more. I mean, I'm only 60 pages into it, so I can't be that mad yet. should have DNF'd this. I wasn't hating it at first. It just wasn't anything super special to me. But now I'm like hate reading it because they've pissed me off with the miscommunication. When I tell you guys this miscommunication, you're gonna be like, really? I read 150 pages and then I put it down and started listening to the audiobook because I already DNF'd the defining decade in this video. I didn't want to make this just a whole DNF video. So it was free right away on the Libby app, so I've been listening to it. But before I complain, let me read you 2 moments that I enjoyed. Our female main character falls into a pond and she's freezing, and when she gets back to Beckett's house, he's like, oh my gosh, take all of your clothes off and I'll put blankets on you to warm you up, because if she gets into water and warms up her body heat too fast, it's bad or something like that. So she's taking off her clothes. That sounds bad, but she's shivering, guys, okay? And I think he looks away or something because she's undressing. And she says, nothing you haven't seen before. And then Beckett says, doesn't mean it's an open invitation. I like that. A respectful king. The other moment was when Beckett was talking about how he hates crowds and noise and stuff. Relatable. And he says, I chose that bar because it was the least crowded place on the street. Then I saw Evelyn and I didn't want to go anywhere else. Plus, everything gets quiet when I look at you. He says that last part to her. Everything gets quiet when I look at you. Okay, now let's talk some trash. I really didn't have any beef with this book until the 3rd act breakup. I was just gonna say I finished the book and not rate it because I genuinely don't care enough to rate it. But now I have some opinions. Also, this is a side note, but I'm counting Defining Decade as read for this video. Like, I'm subtracting it from the 35 books I started with in this video, just because I read most of it and I'm not gonna pick it up ever again. So in my book, that's done and dusted, but I didn't count it on my Goodreads goal or anything like that. So the miscommunication, again, these are spoilers. So skip to this point if you don't wanna hear about the 3rd act breakup. Guess what? It's just another miscommunication, but a bad one. So our main character, Evelyn, is it Evie? I don't even know what she goes by at this point. She is an influencer, but she wants to take a break from that life. That's why she goes back to Love Light Farms, because that was the last place she was happy. And she also did some type of brand promotion in the past. That's how she knows about it. And so obviously she goes back, she runs into Beckett, the guy she had a one-night stand with in the beginning of the book, and the guy she can't stop thinking about, and he can't stop thinking about her. And she stays with him because the inn is booked up or something like that, you know, typical small town. And then she stays there and they get into a routine and they're happy, but she can't stay there forever, right? So we think. And then one day she gets a call for this job, and it's a job that would allow her to still live in the same area as Beckett, or even in the same town, because it might be remote. I don't know. So Beckett is out of town picking up a delivery for the farm when she gets this call, and she has to drop everything and go to that interview in person. I'm sorry, I'm a little confused because I have been listening to it, but I haven't been paying the best attention to it. But low-key, I think I'm right on the money here. So she goes out of town. She leaves him a note. I forget what happens with the note, but the note gets lost. So when he comes back, he doesn't see her, he doesn't hear from her. She doesn't answer her phone because she dropped her phone in the pond when she fell in the pond, and his phone is broken, or he doesn't use his phone or something. Literally every excuse in the book. And instead of going into his spare bedroom where she is staying, he's just like, oh, she left me. I knew this was gonna happen. She left me. Oh, there's nothing I can do about it. And then later we find out she left a note. I forget what happened to it again. And he has a cell phone. She's been calling him from a payphone or something. And when she gets back to town after the job interview, she's like, what is your problem? Like, I've been trying to reach you. My stuff's still in the room. You knew I was coming back. Like, stop being grumpy. And he's like, oh, well, when I just felt your presence gone, I didn't even want to go check in your room and see that everything was gone. Like, I just knew you took everything with you and you weren't coming back. So you're a dumbass. You should have just gone and checked her room. He was coming back. So that was the miscommunication. So they're still broken up, and we're in Evelyn's point of view, and she says, it wasn't even a miscommunication with Beckett. We just keep missing each other. Missing each other? Yeah, because y'all are stupid. And it was a miscommunication. Oh, okay. I'm gonna go finish it and update you guys later. You guys know my thoughts on this. I finished it. We are crossing off another book from our physical TBR, so that's a win. I personally wouldn't recommend this just because I didn't connect with the characters and feel anything when reading this book, other than a little bit of anger at the miscommunication. But if you love small town romance, this is a solid small town romance. I just don't think small town romance is for me anymore. How many times did I just say small town romance? Anyway, the next book I am picking up is Words from the Window Seat by Taylor Tippett. I bought this a few years ago when we still lived in the US, so I've had it for a minute. It does look like a quick read. It's just around 200 pages. And I bought this when I found Taylor's YouTube channel or Bookstagram a few years ago. She is a full-time flight attendant, but she also does content creation on the side. And she wrote this book after she kind of started this movement a few years ago when she was a flight attendant. She was having a bad day, so she wrote an inspirational quote on a piece of paper, stuck it on the window while they were up in the air, and took this artsy picture, posted it to her Instagram or blog, and then wrote this whole journal entry about how she's been feeling and how she wants to spread kindness and help others. And that went viral. And I had no idea she had such a following on her main account, because I follow her book account. But yeah, so that's where this book comes from, and I am enjoying it so far. It is a breath of fresh air. I'm a few chapters into it because I started it last night after I was just done with In the Weeds, and I'll update you guys when I finish this. I'm sure I'll be able to finish it tonight.
I don't wanna call you later. You're tearing my heart up like it's paper, and somehow you turn to a stranger. We used to work, now I'm trying to make sure that we're both on the same page. I don't want it to complicate. I know you're riding away. Is there room for us both on the same wave? Nothing breaks that clearly when there's love on the line. My best friend told me someone that I don't even like. There's nothing left to fix if you don't want me to try. Oh, why, oh, why, oh, why?
I finished Words from the Window Seat and I enjoyed it. I forgot to say earlier, but it was kind of implied. This is nonfiction. I guess it's technically self-help, also a little bit of a memoir, because she does share anecdotes from her life, and I feel like I got to know her a little bit better. I enjoyed this book because I really like Taylor. She is one of my comfort YouTubers. I love watching all of her vlogs, whether they are reading vlogs or travel vlogs. I just like keeping up with her, so I really appreciated this book to see more of a glimpse into her life. There were a lot of encouraging words in here, and I do love an inspirational quote every now and then, and this book is definitely full of them. She is not your typical influencer, which is why I think I like her content so much. She doesn't push out a ton of brand deals. She's not always promoting something. She doesn't feed into overconsumption. She's always thrifting, making stuff at home, getting rid of stuff she doesn't need. She's big on slow living, and she still does have a full-time job. She is still a full-time flight attendant, and that's why she does get to travel so much, because she has benefits from working for an airline, which are the same benefits that Sam and I have because he works for an airline. I really liked hearing about her travels in here, and she talks a lot about how travel is the best way to learn and it's the best education, and I do believe that. If you want to romanticize your life and learn to appreciate the small things, because the small things end up being the big things, you should definitely read this. It is a quick read. I'll read you one quote I liked. I ended up dog-earing a bunch of pages, but this one was my favorite. It is on page 149. So at this point in her life, she was visiting South Dakota for a buffalo roundup. I think she was filming something for them, and she's talking about how that was one of her favorite moments of life, just seeing the buffalo and being present. For a second, imagine the most beautiful moment in your life that you can think of. Do you remember being on your phone or the outfit you wore to get you likes during this moment? Or do you remember how the beauty made you feel? Do you remember how your breathing felt different and you felt lighter? Being in the back of that truck in the middle of South Dakota was that moment for me. Holding on for dear life, I realized that I don't need more things, I just need more beauty. Tell him, Taylor. I would give that 5 stars because I was actually kind of inspired to rate memoirs or nonfiction by Taylor, because if she enjoyed the book and liked the story, she'll give it 5 stars just because the person deserves some credit for sharing their story. And then I decided that if I didn't really like the story, I just won't rate it at all. So that way I'm not being a hater on someone's life story. My goal for this video was to get down to 30 books left on my physical TBR, and if you're doing some math, you're probably like, well, you didn't do that, Maddie. But I did, because I read a book off screen for a video that's going to be on the first day of Bookmas. I just didn't include it in this one because I didn't want to be repetitive. The book that I read off screen was The Bright Years. More to come on that, December 1st. And the other 4 books I read, The Defining Decade. Didn't necessarily finish this, but I'm counting it. So this brings us down to 34, down to 33 with The Girls Who Grew Big, 32 with In the Weeds, 31 Words from the Window Seat, and we are down to 30 with The Bright Years. I also was going to read Atmosphere in this video. It just didn't work out, but it will be in my vlog next week. So make sure you're subscribed down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a big thumbs up, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!